Ja, ja.
Macht ja Sinn, die Fenster.
Die Toiletten immer zeigen.
3, 4.
3, 2. Vier, 4, 8. What a good morning.
How are you today?
Everything okay?
Yes.
Eins, 2, 8.
Welcome back to Ruhpolding, day 3 of the second part of our German double-header here on the BMW IBU World Cup. The atmosphere in this historic stadium building and the noise level boosted after we witnessed our first ceremony and podium to feature a German this week. And, well, we don't have to wait for the weekend for the team events here in southern Germany as our attention turns to the relays for the next 2 days, starting with the men's 4 by 7.5 kilometres, 2.5 kilometre laps, 2 shooting stages per athlete, and international bragging rights at stake. Alongside myself, Ellen Ellard, to guide you through it all with an expert eye is former Team USA biathlete Chad Samler. And Chad, well, the noise levels have racked up a level and the weather is holding.
Beautiful weather, -2 Celsius, still freezing snow, perfect conditions for biathlon. And what a crowd. The crowd, it's a Friday afternoon in Germany and everybody's playing hooky and down in Ruhpolding for this great race of pride between the nations.
It was a tough day in the office for Johannes Tingersbo, who does today start for the Norwegian team. He'll be on the last leg, a career low 85th in the individual. And, he said on Instagram that he's had better days, but we keep going, and he does keep going today. Chad, were you expecting to see him in the order today?
I was not. I was actually expecting him to take a couple days off and get rest up for the mass start and try to defend the yellow bib, but here he is. Going to go fourth and final leg for Norway with the same lineup they ran in Hochfilzen, only a slightly different order, but they will be challenged very well by the French team.
Let's talk about that order quickly. Do you think that this is a more balanced team in terms of the order than what we saw in Hochfilzen?
You know, I think what it does is it takes Bjørn out of the pressure cooker that he felt in Hochfilzen. He went out in the last leg and struggled a little bit. This gives him a little bit more. He's on a high. He's coming off of his first World Cup victory yesterday and shooting through the individual. But that first leg is really up for somebody who is mentally kind of a rock. And that is Sturleholm Lagride he's the man who I think should almost always start a relay for Norway, and he will do it today. Sturm will go second. It puts him kind of in the nice, it's kind of the soft spot, but it is the spot where most teams put their fastest skier, and Bjørn Sturm will have that challenge today.
And we can see in your screen there, bib number 6 today, that's Finland, and Jacko Lanta who is leading the way no men's relay podium since here in the 1998-99 season, but they did have that success in the single mix last week in Oberhof, a flash of bib number 5 in the USA before we move down to Germany. The home team, Chad, they were second here last season. They featured on every podium in the relay last season, excluding, of course, the World Championships, but no podiums this season. Where do you see their chances?
Well, I like their shooting percentage. They are third on the stats for shooting accuracy, and they're fast enough. They're not super fast. They're a few ticks slower than Norway and France, but it's all about momentum in a relay and all about the situation. And Justus Strehler going up first, not a very strong skier, but a very solid shooter. We saw that in the individual yesterday. He's kind of on his way back, but there's the team to beat. Well, one of the teams to beat. They have not won yet this season, and you know Norway is out for blood today with the French team having 2 straight wins. Yeah,
you know, it's absolutely fair enough that you say the team to beat, because it's habit, isn't it? Before, of course, the start of this season, France have been denied the top spot, excluding the World Championships in Oberhof, since Antholz in 2021. But it is France who sit on 180 points. They've won both the relays so far this season. They're looking to make it 3 out of 3 after failing to stand atop the podium last season in a World Cup relay. And, well, Chad, the pressure on the shoulders of the youngest of the Claude brothers, Emilien, a brilliant second place in the individual to kick off the week here in Ruhpolding. Only once failed to collect points from a race this season, but no World Cup relay experience.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, but they're putting him, he is in a great spot right now. This is a good leg for him in terms of ski speed. It's not a terribly fast field. In fact, of the first leg skiers, he's one of the fastest. It wouldn't be the case if you put the whole field out there. With Emilien Claude on your left, on the bottom or center left of your screen, he has never, I'm going to repeat this, he has never raced a World Cup relay, and he's going leg 1 for France. It is huge pressure, even coming off his confidence yesterday.
So poised and ready to go. The first of 2 days of relays here in Ruhpolding, and we are underway. Brilliant conditions on day 3 of the action here in southern Germany. And it is France who wear bib number 1, Norway 2, Sweden with Victor Blunt leading the way in bib 3. Germany wants to watch in 4, looking to make an impact on home snow. The USA been consistent so far this season in 5, Finland 6, Slovenia 7, Italy, Chad, we have to mention Italy, they're bib number 8 today, 3 podiums last season, they were 3rd here. It's the same team that visited and took that bronze medal last year, but their last relay podium was in Soldier Hollow at the end of the season, where they finished 2nd.
You look at the United States versus the Italians relay performance from last year to this year, it's a complete flip of the coin between the 2 teams. The United States really doesn't stack up to 5th. When you look at the individual World Cup rankings of each of the 4 members of Team USA, being 5th in the rank, they are absolutely nailing it on the relays, and this is a momentum event. And when you have a team spirit, you can do things like that. And the Team USA has done that this year with 2 races, and both of them in 6th place. And
well, the team that are wearing bib 6 today, USA wearing 5, but the team in bib 6 are Finland. And well, Chad, we saw an excellent performance from Otto Envinius, who well, he's had a bit of a roller coaster season. He's been tipped for greatness by so many people, both in and out of Finland. He's making his 51st World Cup start today, but set a new PB on his 50th start in the individual, finishing 7th just outside the flower ceremony. And well, he will be bringing Finland home. What do you make of their chances today?
Well, Finland is a little bit like the United States. They're very similar in ski speed. The United States has a little edge in ski speed, but they have a little edge, but the Finns have a little bit of edge in shooting. And this first leg is a big part of the relay. If you look at the ski prowess as part of the relay scenario, it really doesn't factor in quite as much. It only factors in determining the placing once the field is deep into the race. But the actual ski speed can kind of just a little bit be ignored just because the shooting is so critical. It's not only the shooting accuracy, but the shooting time. Staying out of the extra rounds. The extra rounds seem like a saving grace, but they're statistically 12 seconds on average added to the time. If you can stay clean and hit everything with the magazines, that is the way for a team like Team USA and Team Finland to finally get on the podium. That's what they'll be trying to do today.
Well, how about this? We pointed out bib 8 Italy, and it is Elias Zani who is first across the first time check of the day at 1.2 kilometres. And Chad, well, he's bang on average skiing, but he's decided to take things out. Still, of course, this pack travelling as one big mob, but he wants to see Italy right at the front.
Well, the other thing is they're bib number 8, so he can come in and get a little bit of a lead on bibs 1, 2, and 3 by coming to the range first. I think the other thing that it does for Zany is it sort of sets a tone, maybe try to find that momentum. The relay is such a hard thing. And if you don't believe me, just watch. Somebody is going to drop shots today. I'm looking at you, Amelia and Claude. Really want to see. It's really exciting to see Amelia and Claude start here because if he can keep it clean and keep it together in the shooting range, that's a much bigger deal than it seems to when you think about it just individually. It is a big pressure to be the favorite team and then be the first leg for that team. And if Claude can pull this off, I'll be super impressed.
Yeah, he replaces Eric Perrault today in the lineup for the French team, who are leading the way in the men's relay table with 180 points, maximum points from their 2 races so far. This is 1.8 kilometres now, and Sturla Holmberglide and the well-experienced and consistent figure who leads the Norwegian team out. His lowest finish this season, it did come in the individual, Chad, 16th, but still to be within the top 16 for every race so far this season, and so frequently on the podium, if not at least the flower ceremony in his first victory in Oberhof. He really is the one who's the glue in the Norwegian team this season in terms of consistency.
He is, and he finally got a win a couple of races ago. He didn't have a win. He had 4 podiums going into his first victory. He finally got the win. And now with that meltdown from Johannes Tingus Bø in the individual yesterday, he's just within 48 points of the overall World Cup yellow bib. And who would have thought that just a few weeks ago in Hochfilzen or even in Le Grand Bernam that Sturla Holmberglide would be in this position. Of course, today has nothing to do with that. They're working together to be teammates to win this relay. But Lagerheide clearly on the upswing while Bø is struggling a little bit at coming off of that sickness over the holiday break.
Yep, and we'll have to wait a little bit until we see Johannes Tingus Bø. He's on the final leg for Norway as we come into the range for the first of 2 visits for this first pack of athletes who are out in the men's relay.
22 teams, all within 8 seconds coming into the shooting range. And lots of action on this first shoot. Let's watch. Germany quick to the first shot. 3 shots down by Strelo. Nobody responding. Then he misses. 4 for 5, but very quickly. The United States has 1 shot down, and Strelo's already in the extra round.
And France go clean with Emilien Claude, who says, what pressure, shrugs it off. And Norway dipping into the extra rounds. USA are left behind with Maxime Germain. It's, after a good start in terms of where their positioning was at the front of the field, things coming unstuck for Italy, who are still in the range with at least 1 penalty loop.
This is what I love about the relay. Look who's leading Canada. Adam Runnels, the 22nd team on the start list, the 22nd and last team. And he comes out with the lead. Known as one of the fastest shooters in the sport, Runnels, using that shooting speed to take the lead now for Canada early in this relay. Great performance by Canada. We saw Maxime Germain leaving the shooting range for the United States in 17th spot, just 18 seconds back though. Still with an opportunity to keep the United States in the running order. Here's the shooting of Strelo. Really quick. That was just being a little bit out of control and being a little bit in the rhythm. If he jumped on that trigger, maybe he didn't quite have the hold on the shot. And then the dead center with that extra round. That is some nice shooting by Strelo.
And it is still Adam Runnels who leads the way, as along the bottom of your screen you can see the splits as we left the first of 2 shooting stages for the leg 1 athletes wearing the red bibs, of course prone shooting and then standing. And watch out, Adam Runnels, he's in some good form. He struggled after Kontiolahti. He had a 26th place finish in the short individual. He's been in, well, not dipped into the top 10, but he's been around it over the course of the last couple of seasons, and 41st with 2 penalties in the individual. It's not a bad day in the office, all things considering, when he's coming back from the depths of 86th, 71st and 66th from the last 3 race weeks.
Got to start somewhere, and Canada really has a building project right now for the men's program. They've lost some of their veteran, the Gall brothers, the veterans of the Canadian team, retired a couple years ago. And there's been a real big vacuum of athletes for this World Cup level. Adam Reynolds, the best of the 4 Canadians on the start. But even here, you see Reynolds has basically been eaten up and swallowed by the pack now as the racing begins in earnest. Already down to out of the top 5 and 7th, and that's a smart idea for Reynolds. Let the shooting do the talking. But he's leading a 24-year-old in Logan Pletz and 19-year-old in Jasper Fleming, and then Halden Borglum in the last leg. Canada really, they're just young, and they just need this experience, and they'll find their way up there, but it takes time. And I like to say, this is a sport of patience, and Canada just needs to be patient. But this is a great start for Reynolds just to get some experience at the front of the field.
So bibs 1, 2 and 4. Victor Blunt in bib 3 is just a little bit behind, and then there's bib 11 who are up as well, and that is Czechia. Vyacheslav Hornig, who was 5th in the individual. He's on the skis at the moment for the Czechia team, and Chad, that was a great performance from him, jumping a huge 10 places up to 5th, his first flower ceremony on the World Cup circuit. Yeah,
he's a guy to watch, I think. Bib 11 for the Czech Republic, and that's Hornig, 25 years of age. It's kind of that age, that pivotal age where you kind of turn the corner as a world-class biathlete, or maybe go on and do something else in life. And Hornig clearly making it clear that he should be a World Cup biathlete. He's currently 26th over in the overall standings and following Strelo there. But really, the class of this ski field is the man on the right of the group in the navy blue and red of Norway. Sturla Holm Lagrad, really the best skier of this group statistically. Second, Emilien Claude. And that was a really smart move by the French to put him there. We'll see if he holds on in the standing shooting. He passed prone with flying colors. Emilien Claude, you're doing great.
So a group of 6 athletes, all within 2 seconds of each other, from Sturla Holmlaglide at the front of that train to Dmytro Podruchny of Ukraine, who is right on the tail and now moves alongside Victor Blunt. And well, it wasn't to be for Podruchny after such a good week, 2 flower ceremonies in Oberhof. He sort of came back down to earth with a bit of a bang, didn't he, Chad, in the individual. So it's good to see him right amongst this front group of 6 at this point of the race.
Yeah, he and JT Boo have to throw that out of you have to throw this individual race in Ruhpolding out of their memory and just keep rolling. They've been having a good season. But one guy I want to call attention to is Victor Brandt. Is having an outsized performance today for Sweden. He's 84% prone shooter, and he's an average skier on the field. So he's about 4% slower than Sturla Holm Lagrad on the skis. Now a 74% shooting for the man in the blue and yellow in 5th spot, trying to keep Sweden in this. Remember, the Swedish women came back and won the mixed relay for the men in Oberhof, but now standing shooting leg 1.
A miss for Norway on the first. Victor Blunt going well for Sweden, 3 for 3. There's his miss now.
Czech, 4 for 4, the only one clean so far, and Czech Republic will take the lead, along with Bulgaria.
Yeah, they lead out with Bulgaria.
Blagoy Todev leading for the Bulgarian team. The women have had some success this year. Bulgaria, Czech Republic, and Germany. Then Canada. Again, Runnels staying at the front of the field with clean shooting on the day. Great performance by Runnels. Brandt comes through in 11th, 17 back. Then it's Poland. Austria in 13th. 14th, Slovenia in 15th, and the United States in 16th spot. So some work to do. 2 extra rounds for Maxime Germain from the United States, having Kazakhstan right behind them. Victor Brandt, what a great start for him. Clean. Oh, but he dropped his pole.
Yeah, he dropped his pole, and he dropped shots as well in that second visit. 2 misses, and it's Sweden who went from a strong position in the top 6. They now drop down to 11th, 17.3 seconds off the pace. And what a story this is. It's now Justa Strelo, bib number 4, who is leading as this first group. The red bib athletes go round their final lap, but he leads from Vítězslav Hornig, who had that personal best performance in the individual. And Blagoj Todev is now dropping back slightly to the back of this group of 5, but still to have his name as top leading out of shooting too. It's a great story there, clean shooting for the Bulgarian.
Pack of 4 now, and Sturlaholm Lagride is going to try to flex his skiing muscle. Where is Emilien Jacquelin, though? That is the question. Shooting 2, France left the range in 8th spot, 6.9 seconds back. Jacquelin not in this group, but not trailing by enough that it's a nervous moment for the... There is Jacquelin right in the back of the screen.
There you can see Emilien Claude, bib number 1, now reconnecting with this group of 4. So after leaving in 8th, we'll get an accurate number of where he is as he comes up this climb. I would suspect he's in around 5th at this point. It's just Strelo who trails Sturla Holmlagride. There's Emilien Claude, who has climbed from 8th up to 5th. So hasn't really lost a huge amount. It's Victor Blunt, who you can now see on your screen, who's one of the big losers from that second visit to the range. He's over in 8th, so he's climbed from 11th up to 8th, owing to just his good form on the skis. Jaakko Lanta of Finland, you can see go through the picture now. He's clean on the day, but is in 10th. And Sturla Holmlagride is fighting hard and trying to separate himself from Justa Strelo, though. But look at this, Emilien Claude on the skis has leapfrogged Czechia and Germany, and is trying to bridge the gap to Sturla Holmlagride, who is doing his best to give Björn Solum the biggest lead he can.
Claude took a little more time in that shooting range. That's really where he lost most of his time to Lagride, and now has used his ski form to move past these slower skiers. Job well done by Emilien Claude. He's going to be right on the heels of the Norwegians, and an epic battle brewing here between the 2 best teams in the world, France and Norway.
So this is 6.8 kilometers, and we have 5 athletes within 5 seconds of each other, but there's only 0.5 of a second between Emilien Claude and Sturla Holmlagride, and it is Emilien Claude who is first across the 6.8 time check. Vítězslav Hornig doing a very good job of staying within 3 seconds of the leader, Claude.
That's a big move by Claude. He is not a guy who normally outskis Sturla Holmlagride, and he's actually making Lagride, putting him in his rearview mirror and trying to send a message to the Norwegian that he is here and he's here for real. France now leads with that big climb and a surge of speed by Claude off that last climb.
So very amicable in the exchange area, a knock of the fists between Björn Solum and Fabien Claude, who is awaiting the arrival of his younger brother. But there's not much at all between these two, is there, Chad?
No, you can see the 3 athletes that were chasing. They are the remnants of that effort from them. They are absolutely on the red line and over it. They're getting dropped by these 2 skiers. And Emilien Claude flexing his muscle. This is a great performance by the Frenchman. Yeah,
well, he'll look to the side and say, French selectors for the World Championships, there's my audition to be part of your relay team. And a job well done by Emilien Claude, who hands over to his older brother Fabien, and it's Björn Solum who picks up the baton for Norway. Vítězslav Hornig, it's Klitschmar and Manzin who move on for Czechia and Ukraine respectively, and Danilo Lichtmüller on this second leg for Germany.
And it's Canada. Adam Reynolds, very respectable 7th spot after leg 1 for Canada. Logan Pletz going out in the 7th spot. And then Sweden, they went from 18 seconds back at the last time check to 31. Brandt now has Sweden against the ropes.
Yeah, well, Sweden, we've seen them come back from some depths. They have Jesper Nalen, the 32-year-old, on this leg. Martin Ponsaloma will be on the third, and Sebastian Samuelsson. Well, Chad, we saw in Hochfilzen just how hard he had to work to get Sweden back on the podium. It seems to be Sweden's way of doing things at the minute, is leave it to your last couple of runners, whether that be Hanna and Avila Öberg, whether that be Sebastian Samuelsson. And it's just a question of how much work Sebastian Samuelsson will have to do on the final leg at this point.
I think a lot of that has to do with how Nalen shoots from the standing position. He's a 69% standing shooter. And then Martin Ponsaloma in leg 3 has a 66% prone accuracy. That is problematic for Sweden. And it's not that Martin Ponsaloma can't hit those targets. He's just got to find the way out of that statistic. And if he does that today, then Sweden can find their way back. But that's a pretty big task if you look at the stats.
Yep, indeed. And we're back with the leaders, and that is Fabien Claude now. A quick look over the shoulder there, just ever so slight, as Björn Sörlund is quite happy to sit behind him at this point as they start their journey. And now rounding over the top of the hill, you can see Danilo Rietmuller pursued by Klitschmar and Manzin. And then it's Bulgaria who are just separated from that trio ahead of them.
Surim and Fabien Claude pretty much dead even on the ski speed, and they're not pushing the pace. They're going to let Germany back in it. Danilo Rietmuller, an 84% standing shooter, not 79% or 79% standing, 84 prone. Those are good stats, but they don't quite match that of Fabien Claude, 89 and 80. So the best shooter of these chasers, of the favorites here, is really the Frenchman Fabien Claude, who's leading. Surim, clean yesterday, 20 for 20, but 78% standing on the season. Not shaky, but a little bit shaky. Yeah,
Danilo Rietmuller has cut the gap ever so slightly. It was 8.1. It's now he's gained just 0.3 of a second on the time of Fabien Claude as they got to 8.7 kilometres. He's now 7.8 seconds back.
Look at Vladimir Iliev of Bulgaria, keeping them in the hunt. Bulgarians off to a great start with Blagoy Todev, 23 years of age. He's second in the Junior World Championship sprint, so it's not terribly surprising that the Bulgarian athlete is at the front of the field. But the junior level up to the senior level is a bit of a jump. So really great job for the man in the red, green, and white suit of Hungary.
And you could say the same as well for Fabien Claude. He's 25 years old now, but a triple IBU Junior World Champion. And sometimes, Chad, we see it takes a little bit of time for the gap to be bridged completely between junior and senior level. It seems like Emilien Claude is doing that now.
Yeah, I mean, he's 25 years of age. He found his confidence. We've talked about it earlier, but he had some trouble with his shooting in period one. They didn't know what was going on, and they will just reshare that. Basically the bolt that goes in, that holds the steel part of the rifle into the stock, which is the composite part of the rifle that the athlete holds. It was a little bit too long, and they couldn't figure out why he was missing shots, both prone and standing. And his girlfriend's father, who is very, very experienced with biathlon and leader of Austrian biathlon for many years, just suggested that maybe there's something wrong with the way the rifle's sitting in the stock. And they found that the screw was too long, and it was causing all of his misses. When that got fixed, right back to great shooting that he's used to. And, crisis averted, so to speak, for Emilien Claude. And he delivered a great performance today for France, using just one extra round on the day. Yep, and
it's now his brother who's out on the skis, but it was quite a nice response to the first trimester podiums of Fabien, who we can see pull into the range now, with his younger brother saying, I know you're 5 years older, but whatever you can do in terms of podiums, I've got that good blood in me as well.
Germany keeping the gap to the two leaders about the same that whole lap, 7 to 7.5 seconds. So they're really not trying to bridge that 7-second gap. Shooting one of leg 2 now of this men's relay. You see the wind graphic comes up. It's not terribly strong, but it is left to right. Athletes may adjust. I don't think it's too strong that you need to worry too much. Maybe you adjust a click or two in if you have a miss. looking good.
Serum looking really good. It's 5 for 5 as Fabien Claude has to drop into the extra rounds. Misses on the 5th for Bulgaria and Ukraine as well. France now away with Fabien Claude. Danilo Lietmuller has used an extra round as well, but he's now 5 and away.
Iliev struggling for Bulgaria. Same with Kritsmar for the Czech Republic. It's Serum leads Claude now by 10 seconds. Then Manzin checks Ukraine in the 3rd spot.
And would you look at that as well, Bib 22, Canada. Logan Pletz has gone 5 for 5 and has leaped up the order.
They're going to drop in still in the top 10. 7th spot for the Canadians. That is some great stuff. Sebastian Samuelsson 5 for 5, trying to limit the damage done by Brandt in leg number 1. Or that's for Nalin, excuse me. Nalin clean 5 for 5, putting Sweden but they're still 54 seconds back.
Well, it was Sweden had to drop into the extra rounds. They used 3 extra rounds, so they're now 5 extra rounds for the day. And well, the good work done by Nalin to get them up to 7th. He's now dropped back to 13, so it's quite a similar position. It's lower than what he took over from Victor Brandt, but it's a similar story to that of Brandt, where he'll have to do the work on the skis once again. And well, it's not a good sign for Sweden in almost the halfway point of this 2nd leg. Looking ahead to the work that may have to be done on the final lap if they want to try and force their way back onto the podium.
Yeah, you know, they started the leg started the 2nd leg back in 8th spot, 31.4 seconds back, and now they're already 54 back. So Nalin they really need Nalin and Brandt to step up to be in this relay, and they're losing time, nearly a minute back now after shooting 3. Yeah,
the pressure will be on the 3rd leg, Martin Ponsaloma, and well, we saw Hannah Erber get back to some really good form, and Elvira, of course, had done it the day before in Oberhof, but she backed it up in the mixed relay as well. And it could be, we hope, the day that it all goes right for Martin Ponsaloma and Sweden can start to feature. But it's for Björn Sörlem, who is first through the time check at 11.2 kilometres and 12.6 seconds back is Fabien Claude, having to drop into the extra rounds. Danilo Lietmuller comes over the line in 3rd. He's pursued very closely by Vitaly Manzin, who had that brilliant performance in the short individual in Kontiolahti, and we haven't quite since then really seen the best of him, but this is a very good day in the office for the young Ukrainian.
Yeah, just 1 extra round so far in his leg 3 for the team. You want to keep this, if you want to win a biathlon relay, you'd like the whole team to be at 5, maybe 6 extra rounds total to have a shot at it. Right now, Norway's at 2, France is at 2, the Ukrainians are at 3, as are the Germans. Serum, though, class of the field in the skiing right now. He's pulling away from Fabien Claude ever so slightly, 2 seconds at the last time check from leaving the shooting range. And Serum now free to ski at his own pace, and he doesn't have anybody chasing him in contact. There now is the gap to the Frenchman.
Yep, keep your eyes on the time. So through 11.8 kilometres, Björn Sörlem is leading the way, riding a wave of confidence after taking victory in the individual, his first World Cup victory. And there is Fabien Claude. So he's lost under a second, but he has lost time on the leader for Björn Sörlem. Danilo Lietmuller has gained time. He's gained just over a second on Fabien Claude and Björn Sörlem.
I like watching Rietmuller when you can see when Rietmuller is in good shape and when he's struggling. He's in good shape today. He's got really strong pushes. His position is high in the technique. Looked very good up that hill. He's skiing even with Björn Sörlem and actually making a couple seconds on him.
Logan Pletz, hanging on to 8th. Jesper Nalen has forced his way back into the top 10. He's ahead of Florent Claude of Belgium.
Shooting number 4 now. Surum, control of this relay. Norway has not won yet this season. Hard to believe, but it's a momentum game, and he is riding that momentum. But this is his weaker of the 2 shooting disciplines.
Yeah, there'll be all eyes on Bjornsölum as the wind picks up slightly. You can see it rattling through the range and the red flags there.
78% on average from the standing position this year. Fabien Claude only 2% better, so no real advantage statistically here. But the wind picking up just ever so slightly from the right to left, or left to right. Solid hit.
There's
Big
the miss.
Almost half an inch out. Oh, 2 big misses.
Now 3 for Bjornsölum.
That's mental all there. That is just the pressure getting to him. And now Fabien Claude knows the door is open.
He has a miss though now, but it's only 1 miss. And it's a penalty loop for Norway. Advantage France. 2 misses for Germany, 2 misses. 2 penalty loops for Norway, 2 misses for Germany. France are away, and well, Chad, everything has changed in the blink of an eye.
And Danilo Riethmüller just let the race creep into his head there. He could have had the lead. He was on a good roll, but he heard the missing going on. And now struggling, he misses an extra round. Germany is in trouble for the penalty loop as Slovenia now comes and tries to move into the top 3. They go clean. That is Jakob Falk. And Riethmüller avoids the penalty loop. So critical.
And only just, you have to say. Vitaly Manzin is over the time laser at shooting 4 in second. Jakob Falk, what a solid season he's having. He comes across the line in third with 1 lap more to ski before they hand over to the next group of athletes. Iliev of Bulgaria clinging on to a top 10 there. Florent Claude has dropped a place as it's his brother who is leading the way in this field. The Frenchman taking full advantage of 2 penalty laps for Norway. And well, Chad, you set it up perfectly by noting the percentage that the Bjornsölum has in the standing statistics and standing accuracy this season, and well, it all just fell apart for him.
And he had a rough relay in Hochfilzen too, if you remember. He was the weakest leg in Hochfilzen, and they ended up second on that day in the last leg. He had a penalty loop in the last shooting stage and dropped them out of contention for the win, and they lost by 49 seconds in that relay in Hochfilzen. Now Fabien Claude feeling really confident with having the French 11 seconds clear of the Ukrainians. I should say, in my preparation coming into this event, I put a star next to Ukraine, and here's why. Dmitry Produci, currently ranked 15th in the world with an 85% shooting. Vitaly Manzin, 95% hit rate in the prone. He's ranked 21st in the world. Anton Duchenko, who we don't talk about much, is still 31st in the world, has an 88% shooting percentage. And then they'll finish up with Taras Lesiuk, 28-year-old. He's 61st in the world. But, you know, at that point, if you've got that strong of the first 3 in the quartet, Taras Lesiuk can just bring it home. And I think the Ukrainian team is a real threat to stay here.
And it's some great work by both Dmitry Produchny, who is the athlete of the week in Oberhof, and the man currently out on the course, Vitaly Manzin, 17.2 seconds down. So he's lost 6 seconds on Fabien Claude, who is flying around this final lap and really turning the screw in terms of pace. Danilo Riethmüller is 31.3, exactly in the same position time-wise as that he left the range. And well, Bjornsölum is having to lay down a quick pace here if he's to get Norway back into it. He's doing a good job of that, and there's more than enough time for him to hand over in a podium position. He'll have to try and rejoin Danilo Riethmüller, but there's only really a couple of seconds between the German and the Norwegian, who is on the hunt and trying to make up for the damage he's done in that final shooting stage for these second leg athletes.
He left the range 37 back at Surum, and he's taken 3 seconds back out of Father Claude. At this point, I'd say every second kind of matters for Norway as we go to Tarjei Bø, who will take the third leg against the Frenchman Quentin Fillon-Maillet.
And that's a nice matchup, Chad, those two.
Yeah, I think that's a very even matchup. They're both very experienced, some of the older guys in the field and more experienced guys in the field. But the 34 seconds for Quentin Fillon-Maillet kind of concerns me a little bit if he has too big of a lead. I've seen Quentin Fillon-Maillet struggle when he's by himself. He seems to do better when he actually has a race on his hands.
You say that, though. You know, he is coming off the back of a really good performance in the sprint in Oberhof. His first win in well over 2 years, and he does have 2 wins here in the sprint. Of course, you mentioned he's an excellent mass start and pursuit start athlete as well. A win in the pursuit here as well. 6 podiums. He knows this course exceptionally well and is well versed in skiing and good performances here.
Yeah, and he's experienced. He's been here. He's done that. He's a 5-time Olympic medalist. Yeah. He's seen it all. He's going up against his closest chaser is going to be Anton Duchenko, and Duchenko is not a real challenge for Quentin Fillon-Maillet.
A final spurt from Fabien Claude, who will do exactly what his brother did 1 leg ago and hand over in the lead. And it's Quentin Fillon-Maillet. We're now on to the yellow bibs as Vitaly Manson grits his teeth through the final 50 metres to hand over to Anton Duchenko. They are bib number 9. This is currently in second, Ukraine.
Duchenko not a big name, but he's been 12th twice this season. He's been 15th twice. You don't need to be a superstar. Those are great performances. Duchenko just needs to keep Ukraine on the rail, so to speak, and let everybody else chase them. They're in a good position.
And as you rightly said, Chad, consistently taking points as well.
Yeah, they have Johannes Kuhn chasing. Johannes Kuhn for Germany is a very strong prone shooter, one of the best, 95%, but it's just 71% from the standing position. He has never been a great standing shooter his entire long career. And in a relay, when the pressure's so big, the people with low standing shooting percentages tend to falter in the relay, as we saw Surum do in this last leg.
So Sweden hand over in 12th, just ahead of Canada. It's very rare that we bring point to that. But Martin Ponsaloma now on the 3rd leg for Sweden and trying to steady the ship for the Swedes before the arrival of Sebastian Samuelsson on the final leg. Damage control for the Swedish team.
Well, it's a nice situation for this French team. They've won 2 for 2. Huge rivalry between Norway and France. And if you don't think this means something to Norway, even though it's not the World Championships, it means something. They will not want to lose 3 straight to this French team.
The tides have really changed, haven't they, Chad? It was for so long France taking the back seat in the men's relay. It was Norway who was so dominant. It was 4 years, 3 years, sort of approaching the 4-year mark that France had been denied a top spot. It was Antolz in 2021, the last time they won outside of a World Championships, and Norway so dominant in that time, and 3 for 3. Well, that would be a huge statement if already 2 for 2 wasn't.
Quentin Fillon-Maillet looks really good here. It's skiing very in control. I would expect him to take some time out of this man, Duchenko of Czech Republic or of Ukraine. Leg 3 at the 16.2 kilometer mark at the exchange. Ukrainians were 24 seconds back, and it's 25. Not a huge loss of time by Duchenko. And then Johannes Kuhn, might expect him to make a little bit of time. He's gained a second on Quentin Fillon-Maillet. But that's not a massive amount of time.
No, and now eyes on the yellow bib for Norway. That's Tarjei Bø. He's come into some good form and will need to really draw on that now.
And Sweden just struggling with the shooting. And they really don't have an answer to this.
No.
You know, who do they put besides Brandt first? Brandt showed that he could hang with him in the prone position, but he just needs to hit some standing shots. And Martin Ponsaloma is absolutely a punisher on the skis, but he's got to increase his shooting percentage. He was up to 80% in the individual competition. That was a step forward, but 80% still isn't enough to be at the top of the field.
Yeah, we spoke, Chad, a lot about, the extra 2 centimetres added to the stock of this man's rifle. We'll have, of course, spoken about Emilien Claude and the problems with his rival. And I'm sure the Swedes are watching on thinking, I wish it was that easy, that we could just do something mechanical and fix our shooting.
Yeah, and it's a quick fix, and that's my point, is that, if you look at Fiolmaye's clean shooting and win in Oberhof, he hasn't really increased his shooting percentage since that's 2 centimeters added on, and a lot of times it can put you in a place where you don't know what to do next if you go back to having trouble. But look at the time made up by Kuhn on Duchenko. You can see he's just 2 seconds out of second spot now after leaving the exchange. Just 20 at the exchange, the Germans were 7 seconds back of Ukraine. Now they're almost on the doorstep of taking over the second spot.
Yeah, consistent good performances so far as well for Slovenia, who are up into 5th now with Anton Vidmar, the 24-year-old, on leg number 3. And
look at Lithuania's up there.
Yeah.
Hanging in 6th, 46 seconds back in that chase pack. 22-year-old Nikita Chigak of Slovenia, Lithuania.
And with all of that as well, you could say these nations really taking advantage, and one nation that isn't is Italy, who find themselves well down in 21st after being such frequent visitors to the podium last season with a relatively unchanged team.
And a big drop for Team USA, only 3 extra rounds. I'm not sure what happened to Campbell Wright, but fairly big loss of time in his leg. I don't know if there was a fall involved or what. Back in front of the field, missed by Fiolmaye.
And he's only just snuck that last one in.
Critical to hit these extra rounds.
And he does indeed.
Nice center hit. Now it's a race for second between Ukraine and Germany. Remember, Kuhn is a very solid 95% accuracy in this position, but Duchenko strikes first.
And it's a miss for Kuhn.
Duchenko at 92%, and they're both, you can see the mental anguish these two guys have trying to keep their teams atop the leaderboard. 92 and 95% shooters, and they both have misses.
Watch Slovenia and Norway now, and both go 5 for 5. And finally now it is Germany and Ukraine who get away. Ukraine will come over the line holding on to second, but they've dropped time. It's 30 seconds, the gap from Quentin Fiolmaye in the lead back to Anton Duchenko, and Taliabo now into 3rd, and just 4 seconds separating him and Duchenko.
But now a 4-team race for the podium, at least 30 seconds back is Duchenko, but Taliabo and Vidmar of Anton Vidmar of Slovenia doing very well.
Yep, Kuhn is not far off the time of those two as well. He's exited shooting 5 in 35.8 seconds behind, so just over a second and a half.
Anton Vidmar, a 24-year-old, is currently ranked 69th in the overall standings. He's got a big task ahead of him for that statistics, but he's a solid shooter. 87% shooting. That's among the best, probably the top 20% of the field at 87%. Probably more like top 10% of the field in accuracy. Best result for him individually this year is 18th in the pursuit in Östersund earlier in this last season. Sorry, his second best ever performance last season. Very rare for Johannes Kuhn to miss prone. Duchenko holding strong for Ukraine in second. Tarjei Bø chasing from 34 back.
You look at the strength that he's being pursued by, and well, it's a case now of keeping a very calm head for Dudchenko, who will very quickly be joined by this trio behind him. As Quentin Fillon-Maillet through 18.7 kilometres. And now we keep our eyes on the clock to see just how far back this quartet are.
Tarjei Bø, a -4 to the field. Ski statistic, Jonas Kuhn -2. And Anton Vidmar, a +1. So this is very fast company for Vidmar to try to stay the entire loop with on the skis. And that is the essence of biathlon. How much do you put out on the skis? How much do you risk your shooting accuracy by staying with this group? I think for Anton Vidmar, he has to make that decision now. He's 24 years of age, has not been in this situation probably ever in his career to keep Slovenia in the medal hunt. And look, he's 0-0 for Slovenia. 3 extra rounds on the day.
Yeah, and when you talk about speed as well, look who's not too far off the back of this pack, and it's Martin Ponsaloma wearing bib number 6, who has flown up the order, continuing just to climb after being handed over. It was 12th that Sweden took the baton, and he's now halved his deficit in terms of positions and is in 6th.
And he's done that with a miss. He missed one shot from the prone and used an extra round. So Ponsaloma on the tear skiing. That's what he's got to do. He's got to try to get Sweden back into this somehow, and he's going to use his ski speed to do it.
Yeah, and he is, of course, better in the standing position this season.
Quite a bit better, actually.
Yeah.
He's 66% prone, 75% standing, which is not very high hit percentage either. But combined with his ski speed, if any of these athletes falter in this mental battle they're about to do in the standing position at the third leg, Ponsaloma could find his chance. He could find the opening. But it's a thin one.
Yeah, 19.3 kilometres. You can see Martin Ponsaloma there. Well, keep an eye on just how quickly he's closed the gap. So he was 49.7 seconds behind Fillon-Maillet at 18.7, and he hasn't taken a huge amount of time off in the course of the last 600 metres. He's 48.2 now. Just over, it's 12 seconds between him and the back of the quartet who are fighting for the podium.
Since the exchange, he's taken 20 seconds off the lead.
Yeah.
But the question is can he get Sweden into the podium position at this point? And there's the gap that the French have taken over the entire field.
It could all change here as the third leg draws to a close. One more lap after this final standing shoot, and then it will be a battle between our final leg athletes. But it's advantage France as they look to go 3 for 3 in terms of men's relays. And Quentin Fillon-Maillet, his final shooting stage.
Only 4 extra rounds used by France so far. Next best is Slovenia. They're actually one better with 3 extra rounds, and they're sitting in 5th.
Oh, this is quick, and this is great from Quentin Fillon-Maillet. Well, that's how you do it, Chad. That is how you do it.
This is a great scenario for the closing leg for the French team. Emilien Jacquelin, who I misspoke as Emilien Claude, the first leg. Thanks for being so gracious and correcting me there. But this is a pressure cooker still for the podium positions. But I think France is away as the lead grows now. And the mental battle continues for the remaining podium spots. Germany strikes first.
Look at Slovenia go. And 5 for 5. That is truly incredible.
Unbelievable. Anton Vidmar, the weakest skier by several percentage points, staying with that fast-moving group. And he shoots the cleanest of the group, almost like floating above the pressure. Vidmar puts Slovenia in second.
That is such a mature performance from the 24-year-old. It's what we've seen the very experienced Quentin Fillon-Maillet just come in and do. And Sweden are away now with Martin Ponsaloma.
And Germany and Norway are left standing there, shooting extra rounds. Germany finally gets the last lap, and Norway goes to another loop with Tarjei Bø. Norway may not be on the podium today.
Norway have stalled completely, and it's a penalty loop for Tarjei Bø. And
Absolutely.
well, Chad, the challenge comes as Austria go 5 for 5, and Canada 4 out of 4. They're 5 for 5. That's nice shooting in the standing. But the problem as well for Norway is we just don't know what form Johannes Tingersbø is in. He said that the podium in Oberhof was a bit, it didn't show the true representation of where he was at with his fitness, and actually the individual race was a better representation of the challenges that he's facing as he tries to come back from illness over the Christmas break. And well, France very much in the driving seat, but the battle for the podium is, well, that's where our attention is, and how thrilling it is that we've got so many nations who are in the hunt here.
Well, Slovenia is really the surprise story of this event. We can't overstate that. Anton Vidmar, relatively unheralded athlete, going clean in that against some of the biggest names in the sport. That was a great performance. And you've got Lovro Planko, who's 2% faster skier and nearly equally as good shooter as Vidmar. I think Slovenia is in a good position to stay on the podium here. But the big thing is I can see the headlines in Norway tomorrow, and it's something like catastrophe, as the Norwegians absolutely melt in Ruhpolding, and it makes you take stock. We are a month away from the World Championships, and the Norwegians are struggling in the relay. Well, who would have thought?
Yeah, it's such a mental advantage that the French have, and well, you know, with Quentin Fillon-Maillet handing over to Emilien Jacquelin, you know there's going to be some pretty sweet celebrations from a French perspective, as they hold the advantage here by quite some margin.
Look at Martin Ponsiluoma.
Wow, look at him go.
He will move. I believe that he can catch Vidmar by the finish. If you just look at Vidmar's body language, he is absolutely on the limit on the skis. Dudchenko hanging tough, trying to stay with one of the fastest skiers, and Ponsiluoma is on a tear skiing. Still 48 seconds back, so not making a ton of time. He left the shooting range a minute back, so he's already made 12 seconds on Quentin Fillon-Maillet.
Well, just looking back through the historic records in terms of when Slovenia last featured on the podium, and by my record, a quick glance, it looks like it would have been Antholz in 2001-2002 season where they finished third. There is a finish, but in the meantime, back in 2003-2004 in Pokluka, but that's got other written next to it. So I believe the last World Cup podium was the 2001-2002 season.
Yeah, that's two biathlon generations ago.
Yeah.
25, almost 25 years ago, 23 years ago, that Slovenia has matched this level, and it's a relatively unheralded group. You've got Jakub Fatku in second. Mija Dovizan, who's 30 years of age, has never been a terribly fast skier, but a great shooter. But if you look at the shooting percentage of Slovenia, they are the second best shooting percentage in the field to the French team. And that's what matters in a relay. Skiing might make the difference between winning and being second, but the two best shooting teams are at the front of the field right now. And Ponsiluoma is pouncing on the skis. Another 4 seconds taken out of Quentin Fillon-Maillet by Ponsiluoma. And this is not a big loop. It's 2.5 kilometers. He is eating up the time on everybody in the field.
Well, he needed this performance. His team needed this performance.
Absolutely.
Martin Ponsiluoma has really put in the shift that we've seen missing from him in terms of a relay perspective, an individual perspective. You can tell he's working so hard, but just it's not coming together. And in the same way that we mentioned before for Hanna Urberg and Avila Urberg, taking the steps in the right direction in the relay to get back on track, Martin Ponsiluoma seems to be doing that today. But here is France and Emilien Jacquelin, who so frequently the final leg, the anchor for France. And well, he's enjoyed his role this season. 180 points, 2 out of 2, and the opportunity today to go 3 out of 3 as we see Johannes Tingersbø watching on.
Well, Vidmar is going to hang on. Great for him. Yeah. But Ponsiluoma's right there knocking on the door. And then you've got Vidmar, or you've got Lovro Planko, who is a -1 skier going up against Sebastian Samuelsson, who is -5. And this is a tough battle for Slovenia to take the second spot. And in fact, they have to watch out from behind, because Ukraine and Germany could both sneak ahead of them as well. It's a very exciting final leg of this relay. It's 39 seconds between first and second. but a good race for second and third and the podium spots.
Yeah, the first day of 2 days of relays, and the men's is delivering in terms of drama and action today. Johannes Dingesbø waiting on for the arrival of the arrival of Talia Bo, who had to take a trip around the penalty loop. And in terms of penalty loop numbers for the Norwegians, it's quite damning. 3 today.
If you think about how impenetrable Norway has felt for years, this is an amazing and an astounding development in biathlon, with Norway back 124 in 8th.
Well, I don't know how much you can describe France as underdogs, but the performance that they've put out this season to dethrone the Norwegians and continue to do it. Obviously, one more lap to go, or one more leg to go. 3 laps of 2.5 kilometres and 2 shooting stages for France, but a dominant 39.1 second advantage that Emilien Jacquelin has picked up as he takes over in the blue bib from Quentin Fillon-Maillet, who more than did his job today, and the experience shining through in the end in that standing shoot. Here is the leader. 23.7 kilometres is the time check he's approaching.
Well, remember, there are prize packages and prize money for the fastest legs of each of the legs, and the most amazing performance so far is Martin Ponsaloma. It's 25 seconds faster than anybody in his leg 3. Quentin Fillon-Maillet is third, 27 seconds back, but a full 25 seconds ahead of Anton Vidmar. Ponsaloma was absolutely flying out there.
So a nice extra little payday for Martin Ponsaloma, and can Sebastian secure the bag in terms of the bronze medal? Potentially a better performance on the cards as well. He's over the line in second, and you can see just the ski speed, the difference in ski speed. And this is just through the early stages of the first lap for fourth and final leg athletes. Philip Navlat, minus 4% skier in terms of the average in comparison to the rest of the field, and so you can't, you imagine it won't be too long before he tries to eat into the 13-second gap between himself and Lovro Plonko.
The Navras should be able to do it on the skis. The Germans really struggling on the shooting range. They have 10 extra rounds, and even Ukraine struggling a little bit. They have 7 extra rounds, and that's why they're in 5th. But Samuelsson and Sweden, despite 9 extras, they're sitting in second, right ahead of Plonko now. And Samuelsson has the opportunity. 36 seconds isn't a lot of time. If you consider Jacquelin missing just 2 or 3 shots and Samuelsson going perfect, which would be a perfect scenario for Sweden. But that's 12 seconds times 3, it's 36 seconds. It's exactly the gap between Jacquelin and Samuelsson. 36 seconds is 3 extra rounds. And if the difference is 3 extra rounds between these 2 leaders, Sweden's back in the hunt for the win.
Now, how quickly our pessimism turns to optimism around the Swedish team, who are more than proving us wrong over the course of this race, and particularly we're always happy to be proved wrong in terms of athletes who are making incredibly strong comebacks. And we just hope that Martin Ponsaloma, who's looked so dejected with his individual performances this season, despite gradually building his way back up, you hope that he can start to translate that into good form in individual competitions and break solidly and consistently back into the top 10. Here are our 5th, 6th, 7th place athletes.
Plonko for Slovenia holding pretty steady, only losing 5 seconds so far to Emilien Jacquelin. I do believe Jacquelin is keeping it very much under control. He knows he's got a big lead, particularly over Norway, but he knows Samuelsson is going to have to go a little bit faster than he will and risk the shooting just a little bit more to try to catch up. But this is a tough place to be as well. Being out in front by yourself with another victory in hand, it's easy for those mind snakes to get into your head and start playing with you, because you have such a big lead that it shouldn't be. Everybody's watching you, and you should be able to pull this off, and that's a tough place to come from as well sometimes. Nearly a miss at 12 o'clock there, 3rd shot, and there's the miss at 12 again, about a centimeter out. That was a pretty big miss. for Jacqueline. I think he thought he had it, almost broke position.
He broke it. It looked so smooth, didn't it? Because the way he, it looked like he was breaking position, but then in the same action just reloaded the extra round, and he's now away as Sebastian Samuelsson saw a brief glimpse of our leader as he pulled up to the mat, and it is the Swede, a first miss.
And again, Sebastian Samuelsson is probably already on the limit, skiing very hard, trying to get Sweden back into it, risking a little bit on the shooting range. Very, very experienced in this position. Slovenia's Planko, not so much, as he takes aim on his first 5 targets. Sweden's out of there. No real gain on the French, though. But the Slovenian...
And an opportunity for Germany to take third, but another miss for Filip Navrat. And there's the hit for Slovenia, and they will break position at the same time.
Lovro Planko, only 23 years of age. This is a great place for him to compete at the highest level against Navrat.
0.4 of a second separating them as Johannes Tingesbo goes clean.
Not a great place for Norway to be, but a good comeback position for Johannes Tingesbo. He's got nothing to lose now. He can kind of just go for it. Kind of forget yesterday's catastrophe in his individual competition. But trailing by 1:14, Norway can't come back from this.
20 seconds off the podium there, though, if my maths is correct, exactly.
Yeah,
so you never know with Johannes Tingesbo, and you never know when he's in this kind of form where you see these performances like in Oberhof, and then he says that was not an accurate representation of the form he's in terms of it was too good. As we look back at Emilia Jacqueline and that reload.
Yeah, you're right. They are. He is close enough to get on the podium to put Norway back. If you look at Lovro Planko and Taras Lesic, they're the lowest hanging fruit for Blue to catch, both in their historic performance and the time back. Navrath, maybe a little bit tougher. He's got 20 seconds. He's trailing Navrath by 20 seconds. Again, that in a relay with extra rounds, that is not a lot of time to make up, but it's a big gap to Samuelsson for second.
Yeah, and it will take a lot to try and separate the German from his grasp on a podium position on home snow. Five top 10 finishes so far this season, though, for Filip Navrat, who you can see with the leg number 4 in the German kit. Emilia Jacqueline already through 26.2 kilometres, and there's Sebastian Samuelsson, who's 38.5 seconds back.
Jacqueline with a solid season as well. He's got the victory in the sprint in Kontiolahti the opening weekend this year. Also have the second place in the pursuit in Hochfilzen, and a third place in the sprint in Oberhof. And of course, just a dynamic member of this 4-person team that has won the first 2 relays of the season, and they are on a way to making a run of it against the Norwegians this year after not winning a relay in over 2 years in World Cup competition. Now France is a superior team, and it's really been amazing to watch.
And he's had that stability in the role. We spoke today about the order and the positions changing behind him, but he's been consistently the anchor leg. And, we all know he enjoys bringing France home, particularly when it's to a victory over their Norwegian rivals.
Watching Johannes Tingesbo here, I feel like he is not pushing terribly hard. There he moves past the Ukrainian. I thought that he would have made a bigger move, a more decisive move to get Norway back into position. And now we're starting to see him increase the pace a little bit. And a lot of this he has to be testing himself as well to see what kind of fitness he has today compared to kind of the breakdown he had physically yesterday in that individual competition. And it's got to be a big question mark, and got to have him a little bit worried coming off of being forced to go back to competing after not getting a good training block over the holiday season. That's what everybody really counts on between period 1 and period 2, is going back, doing that aerobic-based training and kind of balancing your power systems, your anaerobic and aerobic power systems. And when you don't have that big aerobic-based training, you tend to be a little bit more volatile in performing.
Well, he says it's been a real nightmare in terms of his fitness. He says he's incredibly tired, and when he comes to shoot, it's very difficult. But still finds himself in a good position as back in the range.
It appears like a formality, and honestly, if Emilien Jacquelin just doesn't do anything crazy here, French should walk away with victory number 3 out of 3 in the men's relay. And what a celebration that'll be for the French. 5 shots though first. A little bit of self-doubt there, but gets it back under control after that first miss. We've seen him have catastrophes before. 3 shots to hit this one, and he gets it on the first one. France will win.
Yep, and it's a miss that he could absolutely afford. Emilien Jacquelin once again will bring it home for France. Top spot, 3 out of 3. An extra 90 points added to their tally, and well, France are riding a brilliant wave of momentum, of confidence as we head towards the World Championships. Who will take second and the rest of the podium positions? This is Sebastian Samuelsson.
Perfect 5 for 5, reigning world champions will finish second in Ruhpolding.
And now the battle behind Germany with Philipp Navrat. Taking his time, there's a miss.
Oh, huge barrel movement on that second shot. He looks a little tired, trying to hold the rifle straight, and hit 2 misses, and the 2 misses were wild.
Well, we
Navrat
saw Johannes Tingersbo rattle off 5 perfect shots very, very quickly. And he's pulled up alongside the Slovenian and the German, but a miss for him. And is that Norway out of the battle now for the podium? 2 misses, certainly it will be.
I think Germany's clear with those misses from Norway. Still another 12 seconds at least until Boo leaves the shooting mat, and 106 is the time back for Navrat. Already 113 back for Norway and counting. Lovre Planko in dire straits, trying to hold off the Norwegian for 4th, but it's going to be a wooden medal at best for the Norwegians.
Yep, it's the opportunity was there. He had the 20 seconds where he could have done something, but 2 misses. And, well, those are costly for Johannes Tingersbo and the Norwegian team, who surely, barring an absolute disaster somewhere further down the line for the Germans, it's Norway who will be off the podium today, and Germany will have days of back-to-back podiums.
Good day for the Germans, actually. They've not been on the podium yet this season. They've been 4th and 5th in the men's relays. As we get a look back at Emilien Jacquelin's final shooting stage, and just held it together. Didn't do anything crazy. Didn't shoot terribly fast. Shot fast, but not crazy fast. And got out of there. And it's going to be 3 for 3 for the French coaches. Shooting coaches, they've done their job.
They have indeed.
Nice.
And, well, another performance with a changed team today, and Emilien Claude leading the way out. Well, good signs in terms of the depth that the French men have as they look to take top spots in the relays at the World Championships. They did it in Oberhof in 2023. They're looking to do it again 2 years later in Lenzerheide. And in terms of the statistics this year, well, it's very hard to bet against the French quartet.
Yeah, the depth chart just keeps growing. Emilien Claude, as you said, never raced a World Cup before today. They put him in first leg, which I was questioning. I didn't, you know, the relays, I've seen the relays melt champions, and they put Emilien Claude in there, and he just delivered 1 extra round on the day, and actually pull away from Sturla Holm-Lagride in the final meters. So you know, there's 5 or 6 athletes that the French can put on the relay start at the World Championships and still win.
Yeah, more than been proved wrong today about Emilien Claude.
I'm happy. Happy for him.
And you're
I'll
happy
gladly
for
be
that.
wrong.
Yep.
I'll gladly be wrong.
We'll expect the apology post later on Instagram, Chad. As well, here's Johannes Tingersbo, who is now up into 4th, and well, the gap, you can see it there between him and Germany, as Emilien Jacquelin back with our leader.
but really telling that last shot. Johannes Tingesbø is the best in the world, maybe the best ever. And he's struggling to drop Taras Lesiuk of Ukraine and Lovro Planko of Slovenia. And that is the kind of day and the kind of week that Johannes Tingesbø is having in Ruhpolding. He just is not himself.
No, it was this man who encouraged him to finish the race. It's Emilien Jacquelin skied past. Johannes Tingesbø had pulled off to one side, and we said surely that's the end of the day for Johannes Tingesbø after rattling off an entertaining 5 quick shots, 5 hits as well, to the applause and the recognition of the crowd. And it was Emilien Jacquelin who said, come on, let's have it. And then a lovely video as well on Biathlon World of what Emilien Jacquelin had said to his Norwegian rival. And well, it hasn't been the battle that we might have hoped on this final leg in terms of drama, but the French do it once again, and it's a victory roll into the home straight for Emilien Jacquelin, who for the 3rd time this season will cross the line in top spot for France. Norway, well and truly pushed off top spot. France are the dominant nation in terms of the men's relays. They go 3 for 3 for the season.
And this is an event they just couldn't crack the nut on for a decade, and he gets the win again. Emilien Jacquelin closes out 3 for 3 for France this season.
3-0, he says. France have done it again. And the celebrations amongst a new lineup. Emilien Claude leading out the French team after never competing in a World Cup relay. And what a job he did alongside his older brother Fabien, Quentin Fillmaillet, who brought the bags of experience to hold form on the 3rd leg. And what a comeback for Sweden. Sebastian Samuelsson has time to G up the crowd, as he always does. Such a character on the circuit. He takes a bow. Victor Blunt, Jesper Nalin and Martin Ponsaloma, who put in a huge shift before Sebastian Samuelsson could bring it home. A step up from where they finished in Hochfilzen.
And it begs the question, what if they had somebody more competitive in legs 1 and 2?
And well, the German crowd will love that. It's hurried celebrations for Philipp Navrat, who takes a quick look over his shoulder as he does it as well. But he has the time. Germany on the podium once again, 2 days in a row. And well, the crowd that pack out that stand along from the finish line absolutely love it. It's 5th today for Slovenia as Norway come across the line in 4th. A brilliant day for Slovenia, who were 4th in Hochfilzen, and well, good consistency, Chad, in terms of what this men's team are churning out relay performances.
Yeah, Slovenia is kind of like the United States. This is their shining spot where they actually can have a shot at maybe being on the podium when some more things go wrong with teams ahead of them. But Germany with a great performance today. Norway, I think there's going to be a lot of talk about whether Johannes Tingesbø should have even been on the start today after the performance he had yesterday. Norwegians tend to be very conservative in their approach when you see a physical breakdown. And I didn't see a good reason for Johannes Tingesbø to be on the start today. I was surprised to see he was on it. And he didn't look spectacular, and the Norwegians really just didn't have the mojo today.
Well, the Norwegian team on a whole have been struggling in terms of illness. Martin Oldal was expecting to start in the individual, and it wasn't a start for him because of illness. But nothing to worry about for the French team.
Emilien Claude on the World Cup podium for only his 2nd time, 2 straight days. He's going to love Ruhpolding.
Well, he is indeed performing and stepping up alongside the performance of his older brother. Also has 2 podiums in individual competition next to his name this season. Austria across the line in 8th. And the fans responding to the German team. And the French in there as well, both coming together, the 1st and 3rd place teams, to celebrate with the faithful, who once again have packed out the stands and around the course as well, a capacity of 30,000 here in Ruhpolding.
Switzerland across the line in 11th. That's a little lower than I would have expected them, but missing their top athlete in the relay today. But things to look forward to for them in the World Championships. I think they have a quartet that they can compete in can't compete for the medals if they have a great day.
Finland over the line, Otto and Venius bringing it home in 14th. Bulgaria, who had some really strong parts of that race, falling to 15th. Canada 17th, the USA 16th.
I have to do some follow-up with the U.S. team. I'm not sure why that drop in performance. Only 7 missed shots on the day. That's actually a pretty good shooting performance for them, but to be 338 back, something happened on the camel right stage that we didn't catch on the cameras, but we'll research that a little bit. But Germany thrilled to be on the podium today, and there's nothing like being on the podium in Ruhpolding. Going to be a fun night in Ruhpolding with the men on the relay podium today.
And, well, they'll all be back tomorrow. Not the men, but the fans and the women. We have the women's relay at the same time tomorrow, so that's 2:20 Central European time.
The United States actually getting the North American duel. They're edging Canada by about 5 seconds. They spent almost the entirety of the competition well behind the Canadians with a spectacular start. That was a little bit of a pride battle between the Canadians and the Americans.
Italy with 2 penalty loops. They over the line in 18th, and sort of the questions really, Chad, still surround the Italian team of this big drop-off of performance in comparison to last year.
Yeah, they have a talented group of guys. They're very talented at it. And I think they're going to be stars of the future. And I think that the Italian men's team is an emerging team, but something is not right at the moment. They're all the way down in 18th spot, 439 back, and that's just not indicative of what they can do, not even close. Again, the health is such a critical part of the sport. That if you have somebody with a slight illness, or you try to race with the sniffle, it turns into a cold, and your season can unravel. So maybe dealing with sickness from past, from weeks past, even the Italians just not there right now.
Nope. The same team that took 3rd here last year, 18th today. Slovakia over the line in 22nd.
And that'll do it.
Yep, that concludes it as well. The celebrations continue in the crowd. Germany on the podium, but it's France who are on top of the world.
Yeah, the relays just continue to compel. There's so many aspects. I mean, if you think about Sweden at the beginning of the relay legs 1 and 2, who would have thought? Second place, 38 seconds back, despite 10 extra rounds. And Germany with 14 extra rounds still hangs on for 3rd. That's a good performance. But the 3 plus 10 for Norway, 105 back, and it's gonna be a grim dinner time at the Norwegian hotel tonight as they try to pick up the scraps and move to the mass start on the final day of competition Sunday.
Yeah, the most penalty loops, as you can see, as the results flick across your screen. The most penalty loops of any of the teams today. The most penalty loops, well, the only team. It's just shocking reading, isn't it? When you look at sort of the zeros, the odd 1 here and there, but 3 on the day for Norway. 3 times around the penalty loop, 2 for Bjorn Solum, 1 for Talio Bo, and the only one of only 2 teams in the top 10 to actually visit the penalty loop, and it seems they were picking up the penalty loops for everyone else around them.
Surum with 2 of them, and then Tarja Bø with 1. Johannes Bø did his job, but I think the thing that stood out to me was that Johannes Bø, even though he made time on the people around him, is he really didn't put a decisive move on either of the teams he was skiing with, and that might have been by choice. But I think when things are down and you're a champion athlete, to go on the start of a relay that really is within a month of the World Championships, I think the Norwegians wanted him there because it's the final test to see the relay lineup for that World Championships. There are no more relays between now and the World Championships, so this is an opportunity to test their lineup. And they didn't get a very, very conclusive answer for their efforts today. The French, however, they've got multiple lineups that they can go to World Championships with and succeed. my apologies, we actually do have another relay performance. The Antolz Paxe men's and women's relay in the final 2 days will actually fluctuate a lot. Men's pursuit with the men's relay and men's pursuit with the women's relay on Saturdays and Sundays. So one more chance for these teams to test out their lineups. But that only calls into question more for me why they put Johannes on the start order with another relay yet to go in Antolz next weekend.
Well, we have seen it reported in some places that this is the final weekend that the Norwegians will be looking at performances ahead of the World Championships. We haven't heard that direct, I believe, from the Norwegian team, but we have seen it reported in press across Europe. So maybe that was part of it, as you say, Chad.
Right.
You also, he's spoken quite a lot about wanting to be on the start line. He said, that's the reason why he came back and competed in Oberhof despite the illness. And, he did well, all things considering, to find himself on the podium.
Right.
Despite saying, no, of course, that was a bit misleading. That was the quote he said, that the podium was misleading on that day. Whether he's trying to ski himself out of it, which of course you'd look at and say, is that the wisest tactic? It's yet to be heard, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of eyes on the mix zone after this one, and whether he'll take a visit.
Well, a scenario just kind of came to me there as you were speaking. The Norwegians have historically sent their B-team athletes and the IBU Cup athletes to the Antolz World Cup.
Emilian, congratulations.
So
Third win in a row, and you showed number 3 today. How was it?
It's crazy, for the French team. It never happened in our history. We made 2 times back-to-back victory in 2020 and 2021. But yeah, it's the first time a repeat. So it's been a lot for us. I think on this 3 relay we were able to keep our humility, try to give our best every day, and we know that we are able to make this kind of race just only if we are all together on 100%. So it's so great that we are able to do it, and it's special because in Ruhpolding, with this crowd, and it's a really fast track, so it's quite different as over relay. So we can be proud tonight, and the staff also, because I think we were well managed, and our ski were pretty good also. So. Yeah, it's a big victory for our team, I guess.
It really is. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, Chad, France continue to make history. The first time they've done, as I'll put it in Emilia Jacquelin's words, a three-peat. France topping the table, perfect so far in the men's relay World Cup score, a maximum of 270 points, and they've secured every single one of them.
It's amazing what 365 days does for the sport of biathlon and the men's relay, because this time last year in Ruhpolding, everyone was wondering, how do you beat Norway? They were just so dominant. And here we are a year later, and Norway hasn't won a single relay this year. They come in out of the podium today, and they're kind of in a rough spot. But as we went to Emilia Jacquelin there, I was kind of considering what the Norwegians have historically done with the championships following Antolz, is they don't send their best athletes there. And what might have been the case here is the Norwegians might have looked at Johannes Bø, and Bø himself might have said, I've got a plan. I want to stick to that plan, and the sickness over the holidays kind of messes that up. But if I change everything now, it's going to change the plan into the World Championships as well. So maybe that was the logic, is come here and race, do the best you can, and then go into that plan. And that's probably why he was on the relay today as well. They may not race the relay with their top team in Antolz in preparation of the Worlds. Yeah,
he said as well that he wants to take time back home in Norway ahead of the World Championships. It's obviously a grueling 3 weekends back-to-back that we find ourselves sandwiched in, as you can see the Men's Nations Cup score on your screens at the moment after 13 competitions. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. But Chad, particularly if he wants that break in Norway before the World Championships, you might be completely right if he's saying, we've got the plan, let's stick to it, try and ride this out, and then keep that plan of the break before the World Championships. But 3 for 3, and another classic Emilia Jacquelin celebration.
Yeah, and the French and the Norwegians have historically done different things for championships. I remember the Olympic year in 2022, the French just kept winning and winning and winning. And, they're doing well, and the Norwegians were kind of biding their time for Beijing. And the Norwegians did great in Beijing, but so did the French. It was two very different and distinct approaches to a championship event. But the Norwegians tend to use altitude to prepare for championship events. And Antholz is at high altitude, and it's just a little too far out from the World Championships to go there and stay there all the way to the World Championships and come down and get that boost from the altitude difference. So I think that's probably why they may not. It'll be interesting to see who shows up in Antholz, but I can understand why maybe Johannes Tingesbø didn't want to upset the schedule too much, because they have a very specific plan in the World Championships.
I have never seen so many Pepe, the biathlon foxes in my life. There was thousands there. I heard what you were saying, Chad, but my focus was 100% on the foxes
Beppo.
there, on Beppo the foxes. And there's even a mini fox I saw there as well today, which is quite sweet. They have been everywhere. There's, I'm sure at some point we have to have a race of the mascots, and just by their sheer number, as we see the mini fox. They're always doing roly-polies as well, even the big ones, as the party atmosphere continues here in Ruhpolding. And they will continue well into the night with yet another podium after, having to wait so long. I'm sure plenty of these fans were also in Oberhof there to wait till the end of the week for the podium in the single mixed. And they have two in back-to-back days as the celebrations of the French team making history. They are on top of the world, and for the first time ever they go 3 out of 3 in terms of men's relays. And Chad, just once again, it's another dominant performance in terms of time, and it's so hard to bet against them at the moment.
It is, but it's a very shaky proposition, the relay, the men's or women's relay. It's just the shooting has to be so dialed, and the margins for error and the pressure that goes on these athletes. I mean, look at Vibjorn Sørum today, just take him as an example. 2 penalty loops after going 20 for 20 yesterday. You wouldn't expect it to happen to a guy at this level, but the relay has special connotations, and there's a certain amount of pressure that makes it a very compelling event to watch. It's kind of it is the essence of the relay, the pressure to perform for the nation, and there's never more pressure than being on the start line for Norway in a World Cup or a World Championship for Olympic relay.
So we wait the podium for this first of 2 relays. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow with the women's 4x6 kilometres. And Chad, with Franziska Preuss on the podium yesterday in the women's individual, she looks back to good form and performing well on not just home snow, in terms of being here on Germany, but very local and very well-known snow for her, living and training here in Ruhpolding. Could the German fans be treated again tomorrow, do you think?
I think they could. I think that Preuss getting second yesterday to Lou Jean Monod. Lou Jean Monod goes in the favorite for sure in the mass start. But for the relay, I think Germany has a quartet. They have multiple options at a quartet that could challenge the French. I think the German women should be on the relay podium tomorrow, if not the top rung, and challenge the French for that. But a lot of chances for celebration for the Germans yet. And with Franziska Preuss coming back and looking as good as she did in the performance she had against Lou Jean Monod to take second in the individual, that the mass start is wide open for her. And I think she's kind of let the pressure off. She's got her podium. She doesn't have to feel like she has to deliver more. But if she can win, it'll bring this house down on Sunday.
We will, of course, as Chad rightly says, be back on Sunday as well for the mass starts, both men's and women's, on 19th of January. That's this Sunday, and that all kicks off at 12:30 Central European time. An expectant crowd, some looking to get their signatures. I wonder if that man went out with the intentions of having his coat signed, or whether he's just in the right place at the right time, couldn't produce anything else, and went to sign my coat. Won't be able to wash that again. As you can see, the athletes starting to gather in the far left of your screen, and they will now begin to emerge. France leading the way and leading the quartet out Emilien Jacquelin.
French flags flying in Ruhpolding. It's not something I would have necessarily seen in my day, even though the French were very good 25 years ago. The popularity of the sport absolutely ballooning with the career of Martin Fourcade, the domination he had in the sport, along with the Johannes the duels they've had. The French are everywhere now. You see the French flags all over the world, no matter where the World Cup stops.
Yep, the support from the French fans has been exceptional over the course of this season, and well, they've been treated with history and 3 back-to-back relay wins.
Des BMW IBU Weltcup Biathlon 2025 in Ruhpolding, Staffel der Männer. The prizes will be presented by, die Preise werden überreicht von Tore Beuger, the representative of the IBU, the president of the organization committee Hermann Hipf und von Denise Hermann. Third place, dritter Platz, Deutschland, Justus Strelo, Danilo Riedmüller, Johannes Kühn und Philipp Navrat.
The German quartet step up to the 3rd spot on the podium and soak up the applause and the recognition from the crowd. A medal on hope. And well, what a comeback from Sweden, who at one point found themselves down in 13th. A real strong performance from particularly the 3rd and 4th legs. Martin Ponsaloma, as well, he put a spark into his season. And a, well, expected strong final leg from Sebastian Samuelsson to secure them 3rd or 2nd place today, wearing bib number 3, a step up from that 3rd place in Hopfilzen.
And trailed from an amazing 12th spot and a 109 back at the second exchange to exchange at 41 back at 3rd and then come into the finish in 2nd, 38 seconds back. It was Samuelsson and Ponsaloma, really tip of the hat to them today. They had spectacular legs. But still, Johannes Tingesbø getting the better of Sebastian Samuelsson by 15 seconds in the leg win for the 4th leg. Ponsaloma the fastest by a lot in leg 3. Jakob Falk gets the win in leg 2 by 0.8 of a second over Fabien Claude. And Emilien Claude gets some extra prize money along with his first ever podium finish for a relay team for France in a World Cup.
Yeah, extra prize money going to the fastest time on each of the legs. France on top of the world, they do it again, making history here in Ruhpolding. And well, the question on everyone's lips as we head towards the World Championships in Lenzerheide is, what can we do to stop the French? This quartet, a new quartet, Emilien Claude stepping up for the first time, his first World Cup relay, and a gold medal to boast, joining his brother, his older brother Fabien Claude. The celebration there from the 4 French athletes, Quentin Fillmay and Emilien Jacquelin, the anchor leg, bringing it home and speaking very well on what it means to this French team to make history.
Yeah, you felt a shift in the mentality and the belief in themselves in the French when they won the World Championships over Norway in Oberhof 2 seasons ago at the World Championships. It had that same feeling in Kontiolahti, I have to say. Like that win in Kontiolahti, it was a big deal to this team. They celebrated it like a huge win. and it felt like they'd turned a corner, and now they've proven they have. They've won the next 2 relays since, and with Norway not on the podium, France really takes center stage in this event, and they can go. They went with an absolutely untested first leg skier in Emilian Club. They've got Eric Perot still sitting on the bench. They've got depth on this team as they go towards Lengerheide and a relay there.
Second place Sweden, Victor Brandt, Jesper Nielin, Martin Ponzilioma und Sebastian Samuelsson. And winner France, Emilien Claude, Fabienne Claude, Quentin Fillon-Maillet und Emilien Chaclin.
A brilliant celebration. France taking top spot, and plenty of French flags scattered in between the German flags, which dominate here in Ruhpolding, of course. Sweden, a great comeback to finish second, and Germany back-to-back podiums in back-to-back days. It's the men today who take the relay third spot.
Heute noch ein Staffelsieg. Wie fühlst du dich?
As the teams are interviewed down on the podium, and we will be back once again tomorrow. It is the women who take on the 4x6 kilometre relay, and things get underway at 12:20 Central European time, and we do hope you join us then.